Hello, and thank you for joining us for our Chaplains Chat. I'm Larry Crabtree, chaplain with the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office and the Maryland State Police.
And I'm Chaplain Charlie Wharton with the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office.
Well, Charlie, we have begun a series on peer support, and we talk about peer support programs or peer support teams. We're trying to really understand what that is, what it involves, and the value that it holds for members of the law enforcement community. So today, let's spend some time talking about the importance of being an example. Now, why would that be so significant to being a peer support individual? It's going to help someone that you know and care about.
Well, the old adage, physician, heal thyself. If we don't have it figured out of how we can take care of ourselves, there is absolutely no way that we can be an asset to somebody else. We have to be that example and have to know how to deal with stress, have to know the resources that are out there, and have to be willing to use them before we can reach out to anybody else.
Now, does that mean we kind of pretend like we have it all together and try to convince everybody that we are these superhuman individuals that can handle all kinds of stress and problems? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we dress up our little boxes of issues and have them neatly stacked on a shelf somewhere that so nobody else can see them. No, that's not what that means.
I didn't think so.
What that means is that we have to be able to walk the walk before we start talking the talk.
Yeah. Now, wouldn't it be true, I think probably when we're talking about being an example, a lot of this has to do with attitude, doesn't it? It has to do with you as an individual, the way that you look at things around you. Can we talk a little bit more about that? Why is having a positive and proper attitude so critical to being a proper example to those around us?
I think we can look at the opportunities we get in law enforcement from two perspectives. We can either see them as a negative or we can see them as an opportunity to grow. If we are constantly looking at things as negatives, if we constantly see just how bad things are, we're not going to do anybody any good. But if we can see the way that we can turn this into a positive, that we can become better as we go through the process, that's where we can start helping other people.
Yes, so I guess as individuals in law enforcement, there's kind of a decision that we can make. I once heard it said that happiness is a choice. And I think that's really true. It's that way that we're going to look at what's going on, and either I can be the individual that helps bring down the morale, that paints everything as negative, that points out all the problems, or I can make a choice to be the individual who helps myself and others see the good, the positive, and to begin to lift up and support what's going on around us. And again, I think that comes down to personal choice.
And as we start to look forward in our profession, I don't see people just knocking down the door to get into to be the police. I think that one of the reasons is because they do see the stressors that are there, and this constant voice. If there's a constant voice out there that's saying you don't want to do this, this is going to suck the life out of you. If you could do anything else, do something else. That's not going to help recruiting. But if we can maintain that positive attitude, that choice of happiness that you just talked about, and that's where we're going to be able to be out there making a difference, not only in the community, but also in the squad room.
Yeah, and again, we're not talking about being fake. We're not talking about trying to paint some picture that doesn't exist, but it's the difference of simply saying, hey, you know what? Law enforcement is a career that has a considerable amount of stress with it, but it's also a career that makes a difference. That every day I get to help change people's lives. I get to step in and help people carry some burdens or problems they can't carry themselves. And I'm privileged to be trusted to do that. Now that's a big difference because that's the truth, right?
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about. So to be a peer support team member, to be involved in a peer support program is to be that kind of a person. We see the reality, but we're also the one that says, but it's a privilege to hold this seat, to be in this place that I am, because I'm making a difference, and together we can make a huge difference. And man, it becomes a reality in life.
It's a simple way to give back. When you look at the jobs that are in law enforcement, and you and I, we kind of sit on the outside and we get to look in every once in a while, look through the knothole of the gate periodically. But there's a lot of positives that come out of it, and there's a lot of really wonderful opportunities that the rest of the world will never see. And this is a way to give back to the profession that has been very good to a lot of us, even you and I as volunteers.
Absolutely. And I want to tell you something too. To be a good example, to be a person with a positive attitude, you're also one that people trust the most. Because people want to go to those that see the good, that are excelling, that have strength, that they're moving forward. We kind of shy back away from those that seem to be being crushed or hurt. I think it helps to realize how positive and powerful it is to be an example, a good example to both our peers and to those around that are watching.
You and I get the opportunity to do a lot of interactions, especially with groups that are dealing with crisis. And typically, we will know how well that group is going to go within the first few minutes because the tenor of that group is going to be set by somebody. Either somebody that jumps in and says, sure, let's talk about this, let's work our way through it, or somebody that just becomes the anchor and they say, well, either this isn't going to help or this is stupid or whatever else. That group is going to set the tone for how that intervention is going to go. And as peers, we're going to set the tone for how our agency is going to deal with stress.
Yep. And again, I think that's an amazing responsibility. That's actually an exciting thing, to be that kind of an influencer in your agency. So let's be that kind of a person. Let's be those people.
Works for me.
Well, again, thanks for your time today. We're going to be talking a little bit more about peer support and the importance of this in the weeks that are ahead. But until then, remember, be strong
And be safe.